I'm so tired of this narrative. Like, I really am. I was talking to this woman the other day, and she was like, oh, I go to this Pilates studio that's black owned, woman business. And I was like, okay. And she was like, you should try it. And I was like, well, I have an Equinox membership. And she was like,
Nice.
don't you want to support a black owned woman business? And I was like, don't care. And she was like, well, why not? I was like, well, my Equinox has multiple studios across the U.S., has a sauna, steam room, and I take unlimited classes for the same price.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, but you don't see your people there. What people are you referring to? She was like, you don't see black people there. I was like, I see people there. Like, I don't care if they're purple. I see people there, and I don't give a fuck if I see people there. I'm there for me. I'm not there for anybody else but me. Then she goes on to say, like, don't you have a business? I'm like, yes, I do. Aren't you a woman? Yes, I am. Aren't you black? Yes, I am. So she was like, so why wouldn't you want to support a black-owned woman business? I'm like, because I don't lead with that. My business is a business. Regardless of my gender or my race. It's a fucking business at the end of the day. That's not what I lead with. To me, that's payola. Like, please support I'm a woman and I'm black. And like, what the fuck what does that even mean? Is it a quality product? Is it a quality service? Great. Lead with that. You know what I'm saying? Then she goes on to say, well, I just don't feel comfortable not seeing my people. What the fuck are we even talking about for real?
Do you know how many experiences people miss out on because they have separated themselves from the general population by being racist? And yes, it is racist. Black people try to justify it and say that, well, I'm not racist because I don't exert power over other people. Well, first of all, you are racist, and yes, you do exert power over anybody. Do you remember Letitia James or Fonnie Willis that tried to get our president of America, that's today our president, locked up? More importantly, why would you segment yourself if you are 13.6% of the population? Why would you then segment yourself against the other 86 plus percent of people in the United States of America that could possibly be customers? Furthermore, I don't know anything about this person just because they're a woman or just because they're black or just because they're white or anything like that. I know nothing about. They could be kicking their spouse's ass or have some children locked up in the basement. That is never a justification for whether or not you're supposed to spend your money with people. What happened to focusing on content and character instead of color of skin? Martin Luther King is rolling over in his grave right now. Absolutely.
Like, what the fuck are we even talking? You don't go places because you don't see black people there? Like, be so fucking for real right now. Then they want to throw in well, you must be mixed. I'm like, no, I'm not mixed. They're like, oh, you must be some type of Latino or Hispanic. And I'm like, no, both of my parents are black. And they're like, well, you must have not grew up in the hood. I'm like, do I need to pull up my address? Like, what the fuck are we even talking about? I have to show you I'm black.
Yeah, because they want to qualify you. They want to make sure that you are of the community or of the hood. I did a video, I think it was yesterday, of a woman that said that she would not date a black man that currently is open to or dates white women. And this was a black woman because one of the reasons, she said a bunch of different reasons that didn't make sense, but one of the reasons that she said that she wouldn't do it was because he wouldn't be able to relate, or clearly he's not of the culture. What the fuck is the culture? What, you got to be in poverty? You got to grow up in a hood? You got to be from Atlanta, Detroit, Houston? What does that mean? As though you have a ton of options that's available to you because you are already aged out. And if you are not married by now, then that either means one of two things. Either you're too picky or you don't qualify for the people that you think that you qualify for. More importantly, why can't people just be happy? Why can't people go through life with the disposition of a child? Innocent, you know what? I'm going to evaluate each individual person, each individual business, each individual situation on its own merits. Now, granted, we do have to stereotype because that is a way in which we keep ourselves safe. We have to make sure that we understand cultural norms, recognize patterns, and then adjust accordingly, because that is the thing that is going to put us in the best position possible to be successful. So you got to stereotype. You got to go out and you got to look. Like if you see somebody walking down the street and they got a hood on their head, then chances are it's a possibility. It's a doesn't mean that it's definitive, but it does mean that it's a possibility. Do you know that the FBI actually study behavioral patterns to be able to identify whether or not somebody is a serial killer or not, or whether or not somebody could be a serial killer? They literally have a behavioral unit. That's not stereotyping. That's trying to figure out whether or not a person is more likely to be or not to be in order to keep the public safe. But my point is that when we separate ourselves based off of things that we can't control, like gender or race, you rob yourself of some of the greatest experiences ever. That is why I am on a journey to visit every single place that I can find in the United States of America and then abroad also on top of that, which I travel a lot in both spaces. I'm on a journey because the thing that has helped me to be successful in life is that I didn't limit myself based off of things that people couldn't control. And some of the greatest experiences have come from people that look like me and don't look like me. And some of the worst experiences have definitely come from people that look like me. So, we need to let go. Morgan Freeman was absolutely right when he said that if you want to solve for racism, then you need to stop talking about it and making it a thing and purposely trying to use that as a reason to either discriminate or whether or not you actually want to make an issue a real issue instead of it standing on its own individual merit. Let me hear the rest of what you got to say.
For you to actually see my perspective on how ridiculous this is.
Absolutely.
Like, what the, like, it really gets me. It really gets me, and it annoys me. In my entire life, I've never been considered black. I never been like accepted in the black groups because I talk different or my perspectives on things are different, and I never went along with the tired narrative of being a victim and the bullshit. Like, I about had it. Like,
and you justified for having it. I like this woman. I'm definitely gonna link back to her in the description of the video because I always like to give content creators credit regardless of whether I agree with them or not. But she's absolutely right. Nobody is a victim. We not running in the victim Olympics anymore. Maybe that is a narrative that could have been used by your ancestors that were intentionally discriminated against or who were a part of the transatlantic slave trade. And there are other cultures besides black cultures that have been discriminated against and have participated in slavery and so on and so forth. And that doesn't justify it. But at some point, we need to be solutions oriented. And when I say solutions oriented, I'm saying, how do I not hold somebody else accountable for something that their ancestors did that they have no clue of? Half of these people walking on this earth is more white people. I'm going to just be real. In the United States of America, that is on social services than any other group of people. And some of those very people, ancestors, are the ones that enslaved. There were black people that were slavers at the time where black people, other black people from Africa were sent over here on a transatlantic slave trade. At some point, we got to heal. At some point, we got to get over it. And at some point, we got to stop using this as an excuse as to why we cannot continue to grow, continue to be better versions of ourselves, and ultimately be successful in life. It's not going to be everybody else's fault, and you cannot continue to discriminate against everybody else and think that they're not going to point two fingers back at you. People are ugly, people are evil, but people are nice and they awesome. And so you rob yourself of these experiences, and ultimately I think that it makes for a worse life, and I'm not willing to go through it. I'm so thankful that I'm not one of these people that discriminate people against people based off of their race or based off of their gender. I think that we all we all have a choice, and how you choose to live that life and treat other people is how God is going to judge you. That's my narrative. That's the way I stand on it. Make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Share this with your friends and family, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube. I love you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.